Hi everyone. I've been playing around recently with using Claude Desktop to actually generate PowerPoint presentations, which I found to be really effective for quickly generating content and creating presentations from that content. So the way it works is it effectively is using Claude Desktop plus some MCPs to actually access my file system and run various commands, and also to get the content and search the web for the relevant content. So if I go to my Claude settings and go to developer, I can see here I've set up 3 MCPs. Fetch is what's used to browse the web and search for the content. Sequential thinking is used to allow Claude to effectively plan its approach for how it's going to collate the content and put it into a slide deck. It essentially just forces it to kind of think through and run steps in a sequential, break a problem down into smaller pieces ultimately. And then desktop commander is used to actually execute commands on my laptop, and this is what we need to actually create the PowerPoint slides. So we use a tool called Pandoc to convert a Markdown file, which is generated by the project that I'm about to show you, and then we convert that Markdown file into PowerPoint using Pandoc. I'm not going to go through the instructions on how to set up MCPs, but it's very well documented. But if I go into my config, you can see this is what my actual config file looks like. So I've got my 3 MCP servers, and once you add that and then reboot, you should see those MCP servers appearing. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to projects, and I'm going to create a Claude project PowerPoint slide creator, help search for content, and use it to create PowerPoint slides, PowerPoint presentations. So I'm going to go ahead and create that project, and then inside the project instructions is where I'm basically going to instruct on how I want to create the slides. So I've created quite a long prompt which lays out how to go about creating it. So if I take this example here, I'll just paste it in first, and then we can kind of talk through the different sections. So I'm just going to paste that in, and then your experienced slide deck creator, expertise in crafting professional presentations, blah blah blah. And then I have all these placeholders for the various different attributes. So search for information on topic, create presentation, target audience is audience, and purpose is purpose. And then the presentation should be number slides long. Gather information on topic using the fetch tool. Plan the presentation structure using a variety of slide layouts. Create a markdown file in working directory file name with the presentation content. Then convert the markdown file to PowerPoint using Pandoc. And then I give some instructions on what the markdown structure should look like so that it can create proper slides, because Pandoc needs the markdown to be put into a certain format. So I basically just give some instructions on how to do sections, how to do titles, how to do 2-column slides, image slides, and this is all kind of taken from the Pandoc website. So I basically just give it some priming on how to structure the markdown file, and then use template as the template for Pandoc, so you can actually pass a template file which allows you to make your slides look like a specific template design, which can be helpful. You also need to provide a working directory, which is a directory on your computer where all the slides are going to get created, and then the file name, which is the name of the slides that you want to actually create. Some more instructions on the tools, the MCP servers that I have available to ensure that those get used. First create the markdown file, then I'm basically giving it the commands I want it to use in order to actually create the PowerPoint. And then I say when the chat is first created, ask the user for all of the placeholder information, and then we can get started. So if I save that, and now I can just say hello, and it should just ask me for all of that information. So could you please provide topic, audience, purpose, number, and luckily I have one pasted right here because I want to create some slides about the New Forest, say. So topic, New Forest, historical evolution and heritage, audience, history enthusiasts, visitors, locals interested in learning about New Forest past, purpose, highlight key historical developments of the New Forest, etc., etc. 10 to 12 slides. This is the working directory where I want slides to get created. This is the template I would like to use. and this is the file name of the PowerPoint file I'd like to create. Just a word on the template. So in order to actually get the template working for this, you do have to do a couple of steps. So if I go documents, this is one of the templates that I'm using here, and you can download lots of these from Microsoft or wherever. A small thing that you do have to do is to view slide master and actually edit the template so that you name the files according to what Pandoc needs the slides to be called. So for example, I think there's one called, if I look at rename here, there's a slide layout name called to content, and that's what Pandoc will use to create slides that have 2 columns. And there's various other ones that are documented. Let's have a look. Pandoc slide, structuring the slideshow. So you can see here, the Pandoc website basically lists all of the different slide types that you need to have. So if you are looking to use a template, you will have to go through the template file and effectively rename all of the slides that you want to use with these, so that Pandoc knows the references to use. Yeah, so once you've done that, I'm just going to close that down. Then yeah, the template file should be saved as a potx. Sometimes when you download them, they're in PowerPoint format, but I think there's an option just to convert them to potx. So file and then save as template. If it's actually a PowerPoint, that will save it as a potx file. Then you can open it. Then you can edit these master slides as discussed, and then save it such that it's ready to be used in Pandoc. So the next step is we're ready to actually execute the command. So I'm just going to run this, and it will actually start working through it. So it's going to allow me for permission to use all these MCPs. It's going to use sequential thinking to start structuring its thoughts on how it should work through the problem. And yeah, it's starting to already do some web browsing and capturing a lot of information needed for the slide decks. I'm actually just going to get rid of, before it writes the new one, I'm just going to empty the directory where I want this to get written. So it'll take a few minutes to sort of work through this, but it's pretty cool. It kind of is just churning its way through, and yeah, eventually it will initially write a Markdown file, and then it will be calling Pandoc to convert that Markdown file into a PowerPoint. Okay, just need to allow that. Okay, then we can see the Markdown file, so I'll just quickly open that to show what it looks like. So it's created this Markdown structure with all the content for our slides, and it's all there. And then it looks like it's just now created the PowerPoint file as well. It even self-corrects some issues, so it's saying it's found some issues with the image path, and now it's fixing the Markdown to remove the reference that's causing a problem. And now it's saying successfully created the presentation. So if I go here, sometimes I do find that these Pandoc created presentations, you do have to sort of repair them on the first launch, but usually I find most of the content is pretty intact. Okay, so I've not seen this before, so I'm just going to go straight in and just start the presentation. So it looks like the title didn't format quite correctly. Not sure what happened there. Introduction, got some information about the New Forest today, some historical information about the evolution and early settlement, how the forest was originally named. You can see there's different slide layouts being used. You have this incremental view here, different section heading, and this is the 2-column heading, ancient system of rights, medieval. Now obviously you'd have to go and fact check this. You wouldn't want to send out a presentation without reviewing the content, but it's a really efficient way to just get a first draft. And you can see there's also some tables being embedded, so it really just speeds up that initial creation. Looks like the bullet points didn't quite render properly here, but this is something that you could easily go in and just correct afterwards by adding the various pieces that you need. And then yeah, it's created quite a few slides. Looks like it's created a few more than I asked for, but the nice thing is I could go back and say create a more succinct version of this presentation and it would go away and you can iteratively refine it like that. So yeah, I like the fact that I can now go back and ask for revising that content and creating new versions of the slides. So yeah, that's my little setup that I use to quickly generate slides according to a template using Claude and some MCPs. Yeah, we'd love any feedback, and if you manage to give it a go, I'll put all the links in the description for the prompts that I use and the instructions for the Claude project. Yeah, all right, thanks a lot.